Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. A day of celebration and also a little sadness too. Here we go.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Good evening, boys and girls. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another live edition of the show. Many of you might be watching the Premier League games this evening and listening on replay. We send lots of love and happiness over to you too. Joining me in studio live, returning from his heroics on a question of sport. It's my podcast brother from another mother, Mr. Super Kevin Campbell.
Squaddies, did you miss me? I missed you. I hope you saw the video and I hope you answered the questions at ease, everybody. Let's get in.
Good evening, Super Kev. Good to have you back. Firstly, how was your stint on A Question of Sport? Did your team win live in
Question
theatre?
of Sport live. It's different than the show. Well, it was like the old show, not like the new show. Absolutely fantastic it was. It was in Liverpool. Myself, Steve Parry was with Tuffers on his team. Then the opposite team with Matt was David James and Beth Tweddle. And we had an absolute great time. It was a full house. And I think Tuffers, you know, at the end where the captains get the names, and they've got to mime it out and all that kind of thing. Tuffers took the biscuit of one of them. I'm telling you, but it was a really good show,
Excellent.
show, and you could get the crowd involved, which obviously was brilliant. You know.
Yeah.
It was really, really good.
It's
told different stories and stuff like that. Was good.
It's a really great idea to take it on the road, and it's perfect for that type of setting, you know. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And was it a packed house? I'm assuming it was.
Full house, full house.
Yep.
Everybody came out.
Lovely.
Full of fun. And I even met some people today who were there. And
really?
Had a good chat about it. Yeah, there's some Man City fans, a lovely couple.
That's lovely.
Who went over to watch it. So that was nice.
Very cool, Super Kev. Very cool. And how was my girl, Sue Barker?
Listen, the hostess with the mostest you are. But listen, that woman could host.
I tell you, she's the best, man.
Absolutely brilliant. Flawless as always. And so articulate,
so classy, Kev. She's so classy.
Yeah, she's a class act. Always has been. So always has
absolutely, absolutely love her. Well, good stuff, Kev. Glad you had fun, and I'm sure the audience enjoyed you as well. Kenyan Guna, good evening. And this is what I love about the show. Remember, always let us know where in the world you might be. Nairobi, a beautiful, beautiful place on this absolutely beautiful planet that sometimes is challenged as it has been lately. And you know what? Over the last couple of years, Kev, we've lost some legends. And one of the things I love about you being on the Highbury Squad and a part of our show is you've met quite a few legends along the way. Romania, great country. A country that has also endured, Kev. And, you know, the football world, over the last couple of years, we've lost a lot of legends, you know?
Legends. A lot of legends has passed. There's been a lot of injury and illness, you know, for people who we care about. You know, some of the people might not even know the players or whatever, but you still feel it. And, you know, what a sad loss today for an absolute legend in Ray Kennedy.
I wanted to spend the show. There's so much time to talk about football and tactics. And I think one of the things a lot of listeners love is the fact that we have you here and You've met so many legends, people in football, the game, been around them, played with them, been managed by them, been touched by them in some way. And Kaiser George here says it is a sad day to lose one of our double winning heroes. He's lucky enough to go back to those days in watching Ray Kennedy play and having a great partnership with John Radford. Now, there's a name that doesn't really come up as often as many. But Kev, you have been around a lot of these fellas, and today's loss really is a great loss for the Arsenal Football Club, and of course Liverpool as well. He went on to win 5 titles, 1 UEFA Cup, 3 European Cups, a Super Cup, and he of course did the double with the Arsenal. And Kev, he went from being a midfielder with us, a forward with us, to becoming a midfielder with Liverpool.
You know, that Liverpool regime spotted things in him that obviously we needed him up front with John Radford as a front two. They spotted things in him that, you know, probably we didn't at Arsenal. And he had an absolutely distinguished career at Liverpool. He was a born winner. We know that because he won with us. But when he went to Merseyside and the Red Side, he really got it going, didn't he? You know, in that team, and very successful stint up there, and a legend at both clubs. You know, 2 big clubs, and he's a legend at both. That's the mark of the man. Sophie, to be honest, real sad day for us.
Definitely, and you know, when you talk about legends in this team, you got Geordie Armstrong there with Ray Kennedy and Frank McClintock. Jill sent us these pictures a little while ago, and she's always given our blessing to be able to share them. And of course, there's a lots of these pictures around on the internet today. This is one of my favorites, Kev.
What is Geordie looking at? I wonder what he's looking at there.
I don't know, but you know,
there's no words up there, Geordie.
No words up there. And you know, to think that he was only 70 years old. It's in today's world, 70 years old is still 70 years young. You know?
Yeah, it is. And you know, sometimes the hardest part, Soph, is I still feel you know, the likes of that team don't get the recognition they deserve. They don't. And, you know, such groundbreaking guys, players for this football club, and you know, he could just pass away, and you know, not many people kind of know him, or you know, people should know these guys' names should roll off the tongue. So, if I'm honest with you, because it's such an important part of our history.
Yeah, and I think this is a good question because there are very few players, Kev, who have been a legend for 2 clubs. I'm lucky to do a show with one every single day. There are not a lot of players that have been able to shine so brightly for a couple of clubs, but those who have had fantastic careers. I would say I don't think I get Robert's question too. I don't think he's a bigger legend for either. I think in the scope of our club and what we've achieved and what we've done, would you agree that he's equally a hero for both?
He's a huge legend for us, and he's a huge legend at Liverpool. The gauge of where exactly he is it bigger at either club? Well, he's a legend. So, you know, I'd like to think that he's earned that right to be legend at both clubs, obviously. And let's, you know, put his name in our mouths, because, you know, guys like this don't come around. Guys who win consistently do not come around all the time. Look at us now. You know, we're feeling it. You know, haven't won a league title in 16, 17 years, so, and we feel it, don't we?
We do.
And,
look at this.
And these guys, I mean, wow, amazing. Amazing. I mean, look at the gear. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
Look
absolutely
at that
brilliant.
Jacket on Graham, mixing it
Love
up.
it. I bet that's a bit of suede in it or something.
Yeah, look at that legend on the right there with the big lapels, Kev. And you can see his bracelets on the right. I mean, just back in the day, you know, it was, I don't know, like
They're trendsetters, aren't they? They're trendy. They're trendy boys.
Trendy, trailblazers, trendsetters, and of course, lighting the fire for Arsenal Football
Mm.
Club's, winning culture.
Yeah.
And Andy says the important thing is we fans remember him, and the Radford Kennedy partnership will always be legendary because of 71. And another listener bringing up Radford's name, Kev.
Yeah. Again, Sophie, these guys are guys who paved the way for winners.
Mhm.
Because that at the end of the day, Sophie, that's what it's about. And I know fans, we support our club through thick and thin and all this kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's about winning and winning trophies.
Mhm.
Because you know
Yeah.
what? How many seasons where we don't win are you like crowing over? Not many. But when you win
Yeah.
something, you've got something to show.
Yeah.
It's
No,
so
definitely.
important. So important.
It is. Kev, how do you think social media would have affected things back then? Like, imagine Arsenal winning the double in 71. I mean, I guess we don't know, and I love playing the what if game, but I love these kinds of thoughts from listeners and stuff like that. Imagine when you were made captain of Everton, or when even at the beginning, then there was no social media.
Oh,
There
no
was none of
social
that.
media. No social media. But I suppose that's what keeps it a little bit pure, Soph. That's what keeps
Mm,
it a bit, unhindered. It's pure. It's purer, should I say? Because now things can get distorted very quickly. One comment and people could flip.
yeah.
But back then, you could enjoy it and soak it in a lot more because you were virtually starved of any input of what you got from the team.
Right.
So what you read in the papers or what you heard on the radio was kind of the gospel.
It's incredible to think that, Ray Kennedy and George Graham played together,
Mhm.
and they were part of this incredible team. You got Ray with Bob here. I love this picture as well, Kev.
Is he
You
checking
know,
out? Is he checking out Bob's
it's,
sideburns there?
I think so. I think he's like, I'm going to have to get a little bit of that. And then look, you've got Ray when he was at Liverpool, and you got Pat Rice there.
Yeah,
The transition side of it. I put this up earlier, but you got George Graham there. Look at his sideburns. You got
yeah,
Ray in that wall as well. I mean, these are just fantastic players. You got George and Ray here. George celebrates his birthday today.
that's
And
right.
also
Yeah,
today is the passing of Ray Kennedy. And I wanted to intertwine this a little bit, Kev, because I love doing these kinds of shows with you. It takes us a little bit out of that pressurized game day momentum. When you look at kind of Ray moving on to Liverpool, £200,000 at the time Liverpool paid for him, Kev. It was a record transfer.
big money, Soph. It was big money. He was that type of player, and obviously, at the time, it was money that Arsenal couldn't afford to turn down. If I'm honest, they were breaking the record,
Mm-hmm.
so it was huge money. And obviously, Arsenal felt that they had others coming through who could do the job, so they accepted. And
You know, you know what's interesting, Kev? You bring up a brilliant point, because a lot of the times today we talk about teams having to sell players. And in that 73-74 year, we we saw McClintock leave. We saw the disintegration really of that double winning side. And I think Brian Kidd was coming in, and Ray Kennedy had had some issues as well. He had put on a lot of weight. I think it was the year or the year after the double winning, side. And football hasn't changed too much, has it really? When you think about how teams move on, how players move on, it's just the scope of it, the vehicle now. And I think just the social side of it and the money that is involved with it all.
yeah, 100%. So, great teams get broken up. We've seen a few great teams get broken up in our lifetime. Let's be brutally honest. And money plays a factor. Motivation plays a factor as well, Sophie, I've got to say. Because, if Ray might be carrying injuries, couldn't train properly, maybe put a little bit of weight on. But it's the motivation. Obviously, then you go to a new club. You've got it all to prove again, Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go to Liverpool, and you know that is a school, that is a winning club as well. You've got it all to do. So the motivation is to push yourself even more. So,
Do you
it's
think?
amazing.
Do you think it's possible that things like this, even when Bob Paisley talks about that team was so much. There's a reason why even kids like me loved Liverpool back in the day. I'm sorry, you guys. Liverpool was so ridiculously fun to watch play football in the
They were
early
superb.
80s.
They were superb.
My dad was a Man United fan, and he became a Man United fan because he was this young Greek kid that moved to London and he fell in love with Georgie Best, like a lot of people did back in the day, Kev.
Yeah.
And then I think for a lot of us youngsters, when we were in that late 70s, early 80s era, Liverpool were like, whoa, what is this? This is like insane football. That was an insane team.
Yeah.
And do you think it's possible that someone like Ray Kennedy could be underrated? Plays like that?
100%, Soph. 100% Ray Kennedy. I mean, how many players on their resume goes from winning a double with the Arsenal in London, travels up north to Liverpool, and wins out a sight with that Liverpool team? And many people haven't got his name on their lips. It's crazy.
It really is.
But, again, I get back to the Premier League era and the Football League era. A lot of the people, it seems as though there's a bit of amnesia when it comes to the Football League. There were great players. Players I looked up, these guys I looked up to. And, it's like they never really existed until they pass away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not right, Soph. I don't feel comfortable not talking about these guys. So this is why I enjoy shows like this.
Oh, yeah,
because
me too.
We get to speak about these guys and the quality that they had. So, I challenge anybody who don't know these guys to go on YouTube or whatever, platform and go and check out these teams and players, because they were incredible. These three players were incredible. The squad was incredible. But Ray Kennedy was incredible at Arsenal and incredible at Liverpool as well. What a legend.
Absolute legend. Couldn't agree with you more, Kevin. What a footballer. And joining us now from Lee Judges TV is the man himself, Mr. Lee Judges.
At ease, Lee. At ease.
Thank you very much. I finally got it.
Lee, you join at a great time because I'm going to transition a little bit to another Arsenal legend that we're recognizing today. But I did want to get a few words from you too. Been sharing some pictures here on the late, great Ray Kennedy and his achievement as an Arsenal double winner, his trailblazing kind of positional change from going from the Arsenal to Liverpool. This picture, Kevin and I have been, Googling over, just an amazing picture of three absolute legends and one intertwines with the other today. But let us know what your thoughts are on Ray Kennedy.
I'm going to be really honest. Obviously don't remember him at the Arsenal. I actually obviously watched him, all the videos and the things on YouTube and all that. But I do remember him as a Liverpool player. Oh my God! And I know he was a centre forward at Arsenal or off of John Radford, and Liverpool converted him into a midfield player. And he just had that knack of scoring goals. Funny enough, I was watching Big Match Revisited the other day, and he was playing against Ipswich, and he love and behold, who nicks the equaliser? Ray Kennedy, So he was I thought an underrated player when I look back at that Liverpool side. You know what I mean? She probably got more caps than what he did. But if you go back and look at like the John Radford and Alan Kennedy partnership and that back in that day, fantastic. And like Arsenal's first double winning team, and very, very much a big part of it. And listen, every Arsenal fan surely has seen the goal at White Hart Lane when he headers it in, and the scenes there, you know. And I remember like talking to my dad about that, you know, the queuing up for like 4 hours to get into that game. And, you know, if you was fortunate enough to get into it, you got into it. But fortunately, my dad did. And to see Alan Kennedy get that goal and to, you know, put himself into, you know, hybrid Arsenal legends. Yeah, without a doubt, with that goal, you know, and a real powerhouse of a player, like, you know, with a lovely little touch, silky skills. And as I say, yeah, remember him with Liverpool. And it's funny because me and my excuse me, voice ain't just come back today, like, you know. So
for the show, came back for the show.
Come back for the show. But I had one of I like my press went wrong on the shop the other day, and the engineer was coming in. We was talking about players, what players, legends for different clubs, you know, or what would they be? Like, for instance, you know, was Kevin Campbell a legend at Arsenal or Everton? We was talking about that, like, you know, and Ray Kennedy falls in that category of a legend for Arsenal, but also a legend for Liverpool, you know, for what he done. Liverpool will speak just as fondly of as Ray as us Arsenal fans, as Arsenal fans do with Kevin and Everton, like, you know. So and I think that he's in that bracket, you know, where I think I would imagine that he got. I can't really remember. I'll be lying if I said I did, but I'll imagine that he got good receptions when he come back to Highbury when he was with Liverpool, and just, you know, and one of those things that we all know that he's been suffering with Parkinson's for years and years and years, and unfortunately, it's probably took its toll. And I think was he 70 years of age? You know, it's
very young,
very young, very young in this day and age, isn't it? Like, you know, so you know, an absolute shame, really. Like, and I'll tell you what, Liverpool have lost a few legends over the last sort of year or so. Like, you know, I mean, I know he was an Arsenal legend as well, but, you know, Liverpool will be feeling it as well today as us Gooners.
Definitely. And at the top of the show, Kev and I were talking about how many legends have been lost over the last couple of years, and the dual legendary status and of certain players uniquely who have done it, you know, for a couple of clubs, and Ray Kennedy definitely falls into that. I also wanted to recognize today, with sadness comes happiness too. And it is the birthday of a very special man who I know means a lot to Kevin and also to Lee for very many different reasons. And I thought, what better picture to bring up knowing that Lee was joining us today than, you know, Georgie with his favorite Arsenal player. I want that track. I wish I still had that tracksuit.
I wish I had that hair. You know what I mean?
Get your mullet back, judges.
Lee, how much did you want his hair back in? Did you, when he was playing, what was your hair like?
Is that same as that? Exactly the same as that. And I can tell you what, and I don't care what anybody says, anybody around my age had that sort of haircut that was an Arsenal fan. It was, you know,
sure.
I actually asked him that question, what was it like to play and come out at a stadium or, you know, in the stands and see everybody having your haircut. And, you know, he was actually saying that he sort of copied it off of Bono, you know, of U2. That was his favourite group at the time. He looks a little bit like him, to be fair. And, you know, like, that's where he copied it from. And of course, because of Charlie Nicholas, I sort of started following U2 and all that, which was a great band. Love the band and everything like that. But yeah, you know what I mean? I wasn't the only one. And I you know, that sort of picture there, my mum was a hairdresser, believe it or not, when she had her own shop and that. And I used to take in the old pictures from the programme. That's what I want, Mum.
From match, from shoot and match.
Yeah.
That's what I want, Mum.
That is exactly what I want. And she said, don't be so ridiculous. I said, Mum, get it done, like, you know what I mean? So, and she did. And I honestly thought I was going to be, because my mum was a hairdresser, I'm going to be the only one rocking up to Highbury like Charlie Nicholas. Bloody loads of them got it, like, you know what I mean? I'll tell you what, my mum must have made a fortune off of that, like, you know what I mean? So,
love that.
That's brilliant stuff. You know, it's funny what Charlie Nicholas did for men's hair in the 80s, Jennifer Aniston did for women's hair when she appeared on Friends. But Kev, he's 77 today. And I've always wanted to know, and I've asked you this one previous time. Look at you scowling. at him there.
Yeah.
No, it's just that it's in game mode, so it's just in game mode. You could see he's giving me some instructions.
2 fingers, it looks like.
To
Stay on the
deliver.
wing.
No, do you know what he's saying to me, Soph? He's got to be saying, listen, I'm giving you 2 more minutes, and if you don't pull your finger out, you're off. Campbell.
Get chalk on your boots, Campbell.
Yeah, oh my God, I tell you what. He was like that, though, at times. He weren't messing around.
Kev, do you remember what game that was?
I don't remember, Soph, if I'm
Yeah.
honest.
Lovely kit, though. What
I
kit.
love that kit.
Oh,
That
what a
is.
kit.
Yeah.
JVC was just Arsenal, wasn't it? JVC,
Yeah.
anything JVC.
You're
was
so
Arsenal.
right, Kev, you know what I mean? I'll tell you what, if I'd have known you there, I'd have been around your house nicking a few shirts off you. I'll
Innit?
tell you that.
Me too.
You know what I
Hey,
mean?
listen,
Like,
no,
he got
do you
the
know
gear
what?
back in the day.
Hey, do you know what? You see the gear now, it's like trendy. Look at the state of us two there, look.
What did
but-
George think of you guys when you did stuff like this, Kev? Did he ever say anything?
No, we was fine because it's obviously it's for the club and all that kind of thing, no problem. You know, I remember, you remember that iconic photo with the leather coats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who can forget that?
I remember George Graham coming up and saying,
I want
Look
one.
at you two trying to take my shine. Look at you two trying to take, and we're looking at George thinking, Gaffer, you have got no Plymouth. You know what I mean? You got no style. He used to think he was the snappiest of dressers and all that. And he was, but don't tell him. Oh my God. Whatever you do, don't tell him.
George looked like a good fella when he dressed up and he still looks good. Look, he's still got the style and, you know, the swag and stuff like that. And, you know, Kev, one of my favorite pictures, I think, is this one, of course, with you guys on the bus wearing the Versace and Hillier trying to get in.
We're winners.
Yeah.
That picture tells you winners. Look at George. He's comfortable winning. That's what it's about. He's comfortable winning. That was all. Do you know what he said to us? He said to us, nobody remembers second.
Is that Flatsy on the right?
Yeah. It is
Yeah.
Flatsy, yeah. Flatsy. He said
Go on, Flatsy.
nobody remembers second place. When you play for Arsenal, you've got to be number 1. Great
Sure,
photos.
look at that. Yeah,
Honestly,
look.
great photos. Absolute great photos.
Look at this one. Look at Perry.
Perry in the dicky boat, yeah.
Biggie Bow, like, he knew something, he knew something was coming.
Yeah, he knew,
He does. I love this picture too. This is a really
Oh.
special pic. Love this shot as well. And this is you guys playing under him. And that's why I thought today was important. He turned 77. I mean, that's grand. That's a grand number. Of course, that legendary night that no one will ever forget. And Kev, maybe sometimes Graham's a little bit misunderstood.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few people, not just Gooners, who believe he tarnished his reputation. Obviously, 2 incidents. One was the bung thing, which you can say, yeah, okay, he got sacked for. And then many people say him going to our rivals was sacrilege. Can't do that. But at the end of the day, he's a manager. He's got to work at the end of the day. So, and you know, he's one of the only managers. We had to send him Jules Graham to win something just so we could have a bit of banter. It's unbelievable. You know, it's crazy.
Lee, that was brutal. As much as we love the man, you know, for so many reasons, he really was he rocked a suit, Kev. It was definite.
Oh, he was definite.
He rocked the training. He rocked the training
Top guy,
gear as
top-
well.
Top man.
But Lee, as a Gooner, for you, how much did it bruise you when he went to Spurs? Like, was this just, you know, it's like the Figo trade, or
Yeah, it's. Do you know what? It's
Or is it
right
all
from
forgotten?
my memory. It's right from my memory now, like, you know,
delete.
and I'll tell you this now, and it's not from every goon, because Mike's in the chat when we went to the Barbican and see him the other week for that concert thing. There was a few in there that weren't forgiving him for going to Spurs. But time's a healer, you know what I mean? Like, and ultimately, you know, because he got sacked from Arsenal, whether he thought it was right or wrong, I don't know the ins and outs of it. He probably was a little bit bitter, if I'll be honest. So he thought, I'll show you. Maybe there was something in that. I never have him a problem. It's funny, isn't it? I've never had a problem with him going to Leeds, and I was always sort of hoping that they'd do really well. But time's a healer for me. Excuse me. I honestly think that I look back. I think with George Graham, Kevin would probably know this as well. If he walked into a room, he would grab the attention of the room. I just think that he was that sort of a person.
Charismatic.
Yeah. And for me, being an Arsenal fan, growing up at that first stage of being an Arsenal fan, it was, when we might get to a cup final, get to the UEFA Cup or something like that, 5th or 6th, never ever challenged for the league. Never ever, did I ever think I was going to win the league? I was watching Liverpool, Aston Villa, Ipswich being a very, very good team at that sort of stage. And realistically, Liverpool just dominating football, really. It was becoming a bit of a pain, if I'll be honest. But they were so good. But we was never in the mix. Manchester United in the mix every now and then. We was never in the mix.
Yeah.
Along come George Graham, and he gave me the belief that we could win the league in 87 with a great run, and 88, and then in 89, giving me the belief that we was going to win the league. To a point where, it was great while it lasted. You know what I mean? Like, I thought we was going to win the league, and walked out of that game against Wimbledon 2-2, thinking we had a great run, and it was all over. Yeah. And obviously, like the next thing probably, and still is the best memory as an Arsenal fan. And I don't care how many times I've seen it, how many times I've seen that go. If you was to sit here and put it on now, I will jump up like it was that guy, like back in 89. It just gets you every single time. And when we went to the Barbican thing, like the other week, I was, lucky enough now to know Nigel. We've done a show with him, and we Kev, and everything like that. Yeah. He actually looks back at it and says it was a terrible game. You know what I mean? He said it was a terrible game to play in, and it weren't a very good game, to watch. And so he said, I'm just glad we just seen the highlights of it then, And I said, really? I don't care. I just don't care.
Who gives a monkeys? Yeah.
It probably weren't. I don't know. Do you know what? I never actually sat there and thought, was it a bad game? Because when I go back to that day, it was full of emotion. Like the actual game. I can't tell you how nerve-wracking that game was watching it, from every minute and whatever. And, and watching the film, back, and when we actually score, they actually turn around and say, they're going to go up the other end and score. Exactly what we were saying, you know what I mean? Like, you watch typical Arsenal, they're going to concede now and all that. Like, and then, you thought we was going to win 1-0 and that weren't going to be enough. Sensational. And, for me, George Graham doesn't get the respect that he deserves, if I'll be honest, you know what I mean? Because, listen, he was a man, I'm going to tell you, Kevin knows this as well. He upset me as much as,
anyone could.
Anyone could. I'll tell you what, we lost at QPR. And the next game, Charlie Nicholas was dropped. And I said, typical Charlie Nicholas being dropped. And I took it out on 2 people. George Graham, the person I get on really, really well with now, Perry Groves, because Perry Groves took his place. And Perry always says, well, I don't want to get the blame for it. Well, I do. I blamed him for it. You shouldn't have took his place. You know what I mean? So, and I for a while, I didn't like George Graham because of that. You know what I mean? Like, but he won me round, Sophie. He won me round, like,
Yeah, I mean, I have a tremendous amount of respect for him, but like you can forget. What was the saying where, let's just say someone cheats on you, you can forgive, but you'll never forget.
Never
right?
forget. Yeah.
And for me, it's both ways round. I can never forgive and never forget that he went to Tottenham as manager, like, ever. That was, to me, like, I still respect what he did for the Arsenal. I respect Anfield 89. I love everything that he did. But there's a smidgen of the legacy that is a bit tarnished, in the sense that,
do you know,
he went there out of spite, it felt, Kevin. and Lee. You know,
Do you know what? One thing I will say about it, Pat Jennings got away with it, didn't he?
Going the other way.
yeah.
And everybody loves Pat Jennings. You talk to Spurs fans, they sort of forgive him for that. But I don't know, was because I don't know why we can't forgive him. But I understand. I
Different
see where
circumstances as well.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I think there was a little bit of I want to prove you wrong and all that, But ultimately, he still had the crest was in his garden or one of his rooms. He had the Arsenal crest put in it.
He was Arsenal through.
Kev would never. Kev, you would have. Let's just say Tottenham came and offered you.
Tell the story, Kev. Tell the story.
Well, and that's why I'm leading to it. You would
we need a show. We need a show for this.
Okay, we'll save that for another show then. But
save it for another show. But I'll tell you this: one thing I will say about George Graham, which probably a lot of people don't know. George Graham, the moment he came into Arsenal, George Graham used to take all the training. All of it. He had Theo with him, but George was in the middle of the training. He was always, and this coaching staff, I'm telling you now, do not get enough credit. Obviously, in that photo, missing is Theo Foley, who had left by that time, and Stuart Houston had come in and done a very good job beside George. But there's Tony Donnelly, the kit man, Theo, and Bill Graves. A lot of people won't know this guy, but this guy and Charlie Nicholas used to have it every single day. I'm telling you, he was brilliant. But George Graham taking the training gave us probably two things that a lot of people will not understand. One is that mentality, because he was on it every single day. And two was the camaraderie within the team, because his biggest saying was, I do not want any cliques in this club. No cliques. He said, it's either you all go out or none of you go out. I don't want a breakaway 6 here and 8 over there. And that's how the Tuesday Club really come together. Because everyone had to go out together. Because that's the only way you could go out. Because if you found out, there'd be murder.
Can I ask you guys this? If, for example, Arteta is looking to bring back Arsene Wenger, which I think is kind of a PR move as well, to show and extend an olive branch that may or may not come to fruition, and Arsenal fans feel indifferent about it, Lee. I know George is 77 and probably chilling somewhere in the Caribbean, but why not try and also extend an olive branch back to George Graham, Lee, if that's how we're rolling?
I think with George goes to the games, like he has been to games. You know what I mean? Where I think it's with Arsenal,
but in a similar way, like in that kind of conciliary type of way. Because of course he's gone to the premieres of Anfield '89, and some of those are independent events.
I just think probably that ship sailed with George because of the age thing and all that lot. But listen, you cannot. I think Arsene Wenger could have learned a thing off of George from his defensive points of view, the way that Arsenal set up and all that. And I can tell you this now: people say about Arsenal boring. That '91 Championship winning side was far from boring. You know what I mean? Like, I think towards the end it may become like that. But '89 wasn't boring. We won the league, by the way, on more goals scored. So I don't really see those two titles do not get the credit they deserve. And the 1991, is it the 92 one as well?
91
the 91 team that almost went invincible. That's the one, man.
No. And what I'm saying is, we won the league that year, but I think it was the 91-92 season. We was
92 for 92. We scored 92 goals.
Yeah. If we'd have gone, if that season would have been another month, we'd have gone on and won it.
We'd have won the league. Yeah.
So and it was some wonderful football. I think, Kevin, you correct me if it's wrong, was the last game of the season. It might have been South. I can't remember. It's South when Ian Wright picked up the ball and scored.
Southampton, it was, yeah. Southampton.
Yeah, the goal and all that. That was some fantastic football going about at those times there. Like, really entertaining sort of stuff. Like the League Cup ties, 2-1 against Tottenham, and both times thrilling games. You know what I mean? Like, and of course, even the League Cup final. So, listen, there was bumps on the road with the Little Woods Cup against Luton and whatever. But defensively fantastic. But I think what I find sad about Arsene Wenger, I was talking about this today, funny enough, was that he hasn't never come back to the Arsenal, where George Graham over the I don't know, Kevin might know this, how long it was before George Graham did come back, because it might have been a little bit funny for him. But I have seen him at the Arsenal. He's quite a regular visitor now to the Arsenal, which is a good thing. I think it should be. That's how it should be.
Yeah, it should, because he's got the history. Lee, I think he came back as a manager before he came back just to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. He
came back as a manager of Leeds, didn't he? And stuff like that. But hey, listen, he's earned his right to be there. Maybe Arteta won't reach out to George Graham as such in the same way as Wenger, because Wenger was his manager.
Yeah, I get
that type of thing. And I'm sure if Mikel Arteta wanted to understand a little bit of the defensive side, he could pick the phone up and call George, and George would be only more delighted to help him.
Yeah. How wonderful would it be also, by the way, guys, it's incredible to think that we haven't won the League Cup or a European trophy since the George Graham days. I mean, when you look at, you go invincible, but he won a European trophy. He won the double as a player, comes back, does what he did as a manager. At Anfield 89, some Arsenal fans always say what was greater, the Invincible year or Anfield 89. 91 almost went invincible, but for that game at Chelsea. A few people in chat also asking about that brawl with United in 91, Kev, for you as well. I mean, he had so
massive
many
turning point.
So many bits.
Massive turning point, Salford. And anyone who's not seen his chat to the first team squad at London Colney.
That's the best.
And you see how young the boys look, fresh-faced and young and fit. But he's reading us the right act. And here's the great thing. George was great with the camera there, and he read us the right act. And as soon as the camera left, he was going, you make sure you get stuck into them. You know what I mean? It was, because he knew, Sophie, whenever you go up north, they are going to target players and they're going to want to test you, etc. He knew it was always harder for teams in London to win because he had so many derbies. He knew it. So that's why he was on the training pitch. He was constantly, get that in gear.
Going up north back in those days was tough. It's tough still.
Yeah,
but
it's tough still.
It was really tough during that Liverpool era, even in the 90s, right, when we switched forward to Wenger's, Arsenal having to go up to United and Ferguson's dominance. It wasn't tough going up north in the 80s and early to mid 90s especially.
Yeah, it's always been tough because that north-south divide. So, Lee, that north-south divide is real. Past the Watford gap, they're just against us as London. Yeah. They're against us. You go as a fan, you got to be careful. You got to watch yourself. You got to be on your toes a little bit because I'm telling you, they want to put you under pressure. Don't matter where you're going, whether you're the team. But it made it even sweeter when you won away as players and as fans. It made it even sweeter.
So right. The thing is, when going up north, it's a little bit different now. They go on bloody planes or first class trains and all that.
13-minute flights.
Yeah, but those days back then, when Kevin was playing, it was the old coach up there, and for us fans, it was like the Football Express with no windows in it. Like you mentioned, going up there, like what I mean. The bloody Scouts were throwing bricks through the bleeding. You had to duck, like, you know what I mean? But I tell you what, they were great days, and I'll be honest,
we used to follow the coach. We used to follow the coach as much as we could, Lee. I'm sure you did. Yeah.
If you could get the coach and follow it, that would be fantastic. But like now they've got security behind it and everything like that. It's unbelievable. But the worst place to go out of all those sort of was Everton. Everton was bloody notorious.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Big time, you know what I mean? Like that was
little alleyways and all that kind of thing.
A couple of ambushes. You know what I mean?
Ambush.
I used to sing that song, "You're Going Home in an Ambulance" and all that. Like, let's get out of here quick. You know what I mean?
Southern softies, we're gonna have it. We'll have you. Yeah.
Great days, tough days. But and the atmosphere was completely different to what it is now. But you know, and George Graham, you know, got us going to where we went to these places, thinking, right, you know, we can win these games now.
Definitely.
You know,
Lee, do you remember at Everton, the away fans used to be behind the goal at the park.
Behind the goal, like, yeah, it was only a
behind
thin
the goal.
thing,
It was a thin little strip of away fans. It was brilliant.
Yeah. And then they had their fans above you on the thing. Like, I'll tell you what, like Everton, I'm telling you that now. And it's really weird because, you know, you go to Liverpool now and you go to Everton and it's a completely different culture.
Totally.
They welcome you and everything like that. But I'm telling you, back in the 80s, late 80s, and there was no there was a welcome party, but it weren't that sort of welcome.
No, it was not the red carpet welcome, and as
it
Universal
is
Greek
like
says,
now, like, do you know what I mean?
He goes, Everton was a bad away day trip. Personally, my least favourite was Nottingham Forest. Violence was always in the air there.
Well, do you remember Forest? It didn't have a bloody route. Do you remember that? Like,
it was, no, it was just open. It was open.
Was it in '89 on a Sunday? I think we played 89. I think Marwood scored a couple. Do you remember that game? We was 1-0 down.
4-1. Won it 4-1. Was it that one?
It was fog coming down, freezing cold, and it was
coming off the trend.
like, and there was no roof. Oh my God! Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, we're 1-0 down. I'm cursing everybody on the pitch.
Bitter. Yeah.
It was, I hated those grounds. You know what I mean? With the Portsmouth was the same.
Yeah.
And of course, Highbury was with the clocking. You know what I mean? Get a roof on it, like, you know what I mean? Help us out.
My dad would never want me going. It was the worst thing growing up with a dad who supported Man United because, you know, he wouldn't want to take me to home games, let alone away games and stuff. So I either had to kind of do the old school stowaway thing, you know, with my cousins when I was younger. But if I got caught, well, I got in trouble. But our goal was to follow the coach, like as far as we could when we weren't allowed or didn't have a ticket to the game. I mean, it was just brilliant. It was absolute gold days. Remember phoning the phone line, Lee? Do you remember the old phone line?
Yeah.
We used to want to phone Kev and Ian Wright and all these. It was so good.
Unbelievable. Like, so I'm back at school and when you used to phone that line, and I remember being around my nans and, you know, like, the old thing like that. Do you remember it? Like,
the dial, yeah.
And used to make the noise. Yeah, dial.
Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Arsenal 1, Charlie Nicholas. Yeah! You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You put the phone down again, and then you'd have to ring it up in about 20 minutes. I was ringing it up every 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like,
so good, brilliant stuff.
They were great days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
they were raw. They were like, you know, I'm so happy we have those memories that we, you know, it was a little bit more organic and raw, and you could end up in situations that you probably didn't even imagine. And it was just a different experience. It was,
and then CFAX. You remember CFAX? So it wouldn't update. It wouldn't update. A goal's been scored, but you tried to update it. Smashing the remote control.
I never had it in my house, but some of my mates had it. You know, with the phone. And they used to put a little lock on it, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Tight, man. My mum and dad and my nan and granddad would have done that.
Mama Campbell had to put the lock on, and then we found a way around it. You know, because what you have to do, you have to tap it. So you have to tap the number, and that's what would dial out. And my mum, 1 month the bill came in and it was astronomical. You can imagine. She's saying, I've got a lock on this phone and what's going on?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just brilliant.
We'd got around it. It was funny.
There she is, Kev.
Yeah, the main lady, and my sister, it was her birthday, because it was two sisters on one day, the 23rd. And my sister Lorna in the picture there, it was her birthday on the 27th. So, yeah.
Lovely. Brilliant stuff.
Great days.
Brilliant stuff. All right. So, listen, that was wonderful. Paying tribute to two Arsenal heroes today. Unfortunately, the passing of Ray Kennedy and also Liverpool legend, of course, and a birthday for George Graham, one of Arsenal's greatest ever managers as well. Before we close the show, got to get Lee's quick thoughts ahead of the big game on Thursday. Looks like Saka isn't going to be playing. Just want to get your take on how you see the team lining up, if you'd make any changes, Lee, and what your expectations are.
Well, it'd be really interesting what Mikel does. I think he could go for the safe option, and the safe option would to bring back Lacazette and play Aubameyang out wide. But for me, I would play Martinelli. I'll be positive against these. Give it a real good go. It's not like the Liverpool game. Liverpool, I think, are, as they're proving, a class above at the moment, along with Side City and Chelsea. But let's go there, and I'm confident. I know, I'm sort of saying I'm sitting on the fence, saying it could be probably a draw, and I'll take a draw if I'll be honest, because Man United are still Man United. But I feel that we've got a good chance of winning this game. It's not like I'm predicting a draw, thinking that we're going to lose. I'm thinking that we might nick this, but I think it may end up being a draw. But I think that we're in with a good chance of this game. This is the teams now, like that are in and around us. We're 5 points in front of them. By hook or by crook, we've got to stay 5 points in front of them in this game. They're 5 points behind us. That's what we've got to make happen again. Make sure that we stay undefeated up there. And I'm going to say it now. I think that we will. I think we may nick it, but it may be a draw. And for me, look, if we get out of there unbeaten, and we can then go to Everton, and Everton are in poor form and have got the Merseyside derby, so they're going to bash each other to pieces. They hopefully pick up not no serious injuries, but a couple of them take knocks, and they're a little bit decimated as it is. And I think that if we can come out of this week with 7 points, I would be delighted. But if we can come out of it with 9, I will be over the moon.
I love that. Kev, I think you agree Martinelli coming on, but you'll tell me. And also the big debate, and I love to get Lee's on this, my last one to you guys before we duck out. The big argument discussion with Arsenal fans this week is Nuno or Tierney.
Listen, the fact there was an opportunity for Mikel Arteta to put Tierney back in, let's be honest, after Nuno didn't have the greatest game at Anfield. He resisted. He chose to keep Tavares up. I thought that was Tavares' best game. I thought he was incredible against Newcastle. Mm-hmm. So if a player is potentially one of the men of the match, you can't change him. It makes no sense. So for me, he's going to start. That's the thing. I truly believe he is going to start because he had a great game, set a goal up, and looks really good.
Lee, do you agree? Does Nuno start over Kieran?
Yeah, for me, he's got the shirt on it at this moment in time. And listen, I disagree with Kevin a little bit. I didn't think he was that bad against Liverpool. I know he made a mistake and all that, but in the first half, I thought he kept most of quite quiet. And I'll tell you what, he's not a weak defender. I think, I remember, who was it, Sarr of Watford, who caused all sorts of problems against Man United, didn't get a kick against him. You know what I mean? I'll tell you what, I watch him down the wing. He comes down the wing. My God, he's powerful. I'm telling you, you know what I mean? When he's running, if he's not the fastest in the team, I'd like to see who is. But when he gets going, I suppose probably over 5 yards, 10 yards, probably people are quicker. But once he's going, he takes some shifting. And I can tell you this now, if I'm Mr. Ronaldo, I ain't going to be challenging him back at any time soon at 36 years of age. So I think maybe it'd be a good thing to play him, because I don't think Ronaldo would be tracking him back. You know what I mean? So it'd be an interesting one, that. But for me, I'm with Kevin on this. No for me.
Yep. And a lot of people in chat also saying if we play with speed, we'll frighten the bejesus out of Manchester United. We should definitely go at them. A lot of people talking about Oba being benched. I said I was going to get you out on that one. 10 seconds, Kev and Lee. Lee's got to go off to do another show as well. And
so do I.
I know, Kev does too. So real quick, are you benching Oba? I think I know Kev's answer. Absolutely not. And Lee, are you benching Oba?
I'll listen to Kevin before I'll make my point.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't bench Oba. Listen, Oba was on the pitch where we scored the goals. He missed the sitter. Yes, he did. And his form isn't great at the moment, but we still need him in the team. He carries a certain threat that many people don't, and the opposition have to account for him. So I know he's not been playing great, but I still think he worked hard, and that isn't enough, I know, but I'd still stick with him.
Lee?
I'm with Kevin on this. One more game. He's had 3 poor games now, and I think that was the point is this is a big game, and you don't drop your best players, all your big time players for the big game. You know what I mean? But he has got to turn up for this game, and if he doesn't, I'm afraid then against Everton, I'm saying maybe. But I agree with what Kevin said. The one thing that I'm not too sure about is his hold-up play. Kevin knows it more than anybody how difficult that is. He has got to. It's not his
forte. It's not his
forte. It's probably his weakest part of his game, if I'll be honest. So I think if Saka's not playing, I still think he'll shoehorn him in the team because goals and everything there. And do you know what? Maybe this ain't the game for Martinelli because it's Man United away. I think, if it was a home game, I'd be going, right, yeah, Martinelli comes in. But it'd be really interesting. But I think that he will play as well. And I think give him one more game. One more.
Right.
Here's one for you. Just a quick one, Lee and Sophie. Would you play Pepe?
No, I'd bring him on as
he's
a
the
sub
forgotten
if we were
man, isn't
struggling.
he? He's the forgotten man kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know what Lee thinks. Go on.
I just think said it all on Saturday when he put Martinelli on in front of him, and I thought it was the right call and proved to be the right call.
Agreed.
I don't really know where Pepe is going to get into this team now. The only way I can see him getting into this team now is if there's injuries to Smith Rowe and Saka, which we don't want, and maybe like a rotation thing. Or he plays in the Abba role where he can be given opportunity there. He's a good finisher. But I've said it all along, Mikel doesn't rate him because I look at Odegaard, he's trying to get him on as quickly as he can because he rates it. He doesn't seem to do that with Pepe.
Yeah,
I think go on, Soph. Go on, Soph.
Kev, I was just going to say, I think it would be an amazing moment if he came off the bench and did something in a game where we need it, or whether we're looking to nick a win or grab a goal. Having someone like him who can come off the bench and take a moment the same way Martinelli did. Let's take a look at that, if that's possible. But I think he seems to have lost his mojo a little bit and maybe, looks like the manager doesn't believe in him anymore. Go ahead, Kev.
I think Kevin may agree or not agree on this. He's a great player because he wouldn't be where he is and all that. But if you, as a player, not feel that the manager doesn't like you or doesn't rate you, you can lose confidence from that. And I think that I think there's been a few times when he's been left out. That when he got sent off that time, he had him on it, didn't he? And then 2 weeks later, Xhaka got sent off, and he didn't. You know what I mean? So I feel that he's probably lost confidence in his ability, which is unbelievable. But I do think that he has.
What I will say about Pepe is this. 2 youngsters from Hale End have taken the spots where he can play. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, one gets injured and he still don't come on the pitch. If he doesn't play against Manchester United, it's curtains for him.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's curtains for him.
You'd be looking for a move, wouldn't you, in January?
Yeah, it's curtains for him because I think he's had opportunities, but I think the way he plays, he hasn't got the intensity in his game that Arteta's looking for. Because you have to be relentless.
And Kevin,
he's not.
And unfortunately, we're always going to go back to the fact that he's the record signing of the Arsenal Football Club. And if you do not make an appearance in a game against Manchester United, that does send signals, doesn't it? But also with that type of price tag, to be able to come on and change the game if we need to, that would be an incredible moment. Whether he stays or not, Arsenal fans would definitely get behind that. Right. Where are you guys off to, Lee? You're going off to Lee Judge's TV for your show next?
Lee Judge's TV, yep. Chatting with Campbell tonight.
Chatting with Campbell. We've actually done it. We've actually done it the last 2 weeks. Chatting without Campbell, we should have put like that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Demsek, it is KC time, but you get more KC time. Tell them, Lee, how'd they find you?
Just over at Lee Judge's TV. We're on. I think is it 9:15 or 9 o'clock? I don't even know.
Yeah,
right
well,
now,
I think Dan's gone a bit early with 9 o'clock, but it was 9:15. I was told 9:15.
Without
right,
being big-headed, me and Kevin are the two main men. It won't start until we're on. All right? Okay.
Well, I totally agree with you. We'll be back on the Highbury Squad tomorrow night. Go right to Lee Judges TV and you get a little extra Super Kevin Campbell and a little bit extra Gianni Judges, one of our favourites. Love you guys. Thanks for joining. Kev, take us out.
Thanks, Sophie. Hostess with the mostest. We know that. Lee, I'll be seeing you on your channel, Lee Judges TV, in about 10 minutes, where we have a chat behind the scenes and then we get going. And you squaddies, as always, thanks for joining us. Great chat. Rest in peace, Ray Kennedy. George Graham, happy birthday. And Gooners, at ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.